This is Secondary Math 2, Unit 7 review. This is the 4th section. So we're going to find the perimeter of the square. Now, how this relates to our unit is the fact that we know when you have a square, these angles are 90 degrees. Well, if those angles are 90 degrees, and the diagonal of a square bisects the angle, it's splitting it up into 45-degree angles. Well, now we have a 45-45-90 triangle. So if it helps you to visualize it, redraw it. So I have this 90 degrees, 45 degrees, 45 degrees. That was an interesting 5. There we go. And I have the hypotenuse of that triangle. So to find a side length, I'm going to remember my 45-45-90 triangles. So to go from the hypotenuse to a side, I get smaller. So I'm going to divide by square root 2. So I'm going to take that square root of 8 and divide it by the square root of 2. Couple ways to handle this. I could rationalize this, but since they're both underneath a radical, I can actually divide them. So what is 8 divided by 2? 4. Technically over 1. And what is the square root of 4? 2. Technically over 1. So the side lengths are 2. So that means 2, 2, 2, 2. So what is the perimeter? Either 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2, or since there's 4 of them, 4 times 2. And it doesn't have units. This next one, a 120-foot guy wire is attached to the top of a 50-foot pole. So I have a pole. What angle does the wire make with the ground? So I have this pole, and then I have this wire coming down to the ground. So pole, ground, wire. And the pole is going to be at a 90-degree angle, and I want to find what is the angle it makes with the ground. Well, I have that the wire was 120 feet and the pole was 50 feet. So in relation to that angle, we are going to do, this is the opposite side of this angle. This is the adjacent side. And this is the hypotenuse. So which trig function do I need? Well, I have the opposite and I have the hypotenuse, so I don't care about the adjacent. So what trig function uses opposite and hypotenuse? Sine. So sine of the angle is equal to opposite over hypotenuse. In this case, I'm actually finding that angle. So sine of my angle is equal to, the opposite side is 50, and the hypotenuse is 120. I could simplify this, but since I'm going to be typing this into the calculator anyways, I'm not going to bother. So to find the angle, remember we have to do inverse, because we're going backwards. So I'm going to hit second sine 50 divided by 120, and it said to round to the nearest degree. So we have I'm rounding to the nearest degree, so I look next to it. That's bigger than 5. So the 4 has to go up. Okay, and then the last one, from the top of an apartment building, the angle of depression, so that's this angle right here, to a car parked on the street below is 38 degrees. So it's marked. The car is parked 80 feet from the building, from the base of the building. Find the height of the building. Okay, so sometimes it's helpful to label things. So that's our car. That's our building. And that's the ground. Or the street. So I have that this is 80 feet. And I want to find the height of the building. Well, one of the things about angle of depression, they're parallel lines cut by a transversal. So whatever this angle is the same here. So if this is 38, this is 38. You also could figure out this inside angle because they have to add to 90 degrees. So you could say, well, what's 90 degrees minus the 38? And say that that's 52. And you could look at that angle as well. It doesn't matter which one. I'm going to stick with the 38. So that's why the relation of the angle matters. So if this is my angle, this is the opposite side. In this angle, this is the adjacent side. And in both angles, this is the hypotenuse. Well, I want opposite. I have adjacent. I don't care about hypotenuse. So what trig function is that going to be? Opposite and adjacent. Tangent. So tangent of my angle is opposite over adjacent. So fill in the information. So my angle was 38 degrees. And the opposite side was what I was finding, so x. And the adjacent side is 80. Okay, well, to get x alone, I'm going to multiply by 80 over 1. Because then those reduce to 1. So I have x is equal to 80 times tangent of 38. Then you type that in. So 80 times tangent of 38. And round to the nearest tenth. So this is 62.5 feet. Real fast, if you were to look at that other angle, you find different colors. Okay. If I were to look at the other angle, the 52, this would be the opposite side, and this would be the adjacent side. So then my trig function would be tangent of 52 is equal to opposite, which is 80, over adjacent, which was my x. And then you have to multiply by x on both sides. And divide by tangent of 52. And then type that in. So 80 divided by tangent of 52, and we get the same answer.